just went and picked up our next project here at the Ooman shop.
God damn.
Yeehaw! Last night was kind of a late night, but we finally got all the paint stripped off of here. Boys had a lot of fun with that. Look at all this. The thing wasn't only painted, but it had a leveling compound underneath it, so paint stripper wouldn't work. They had to do it the old-fashioned way. Some sanding discs on a hand grinder. While they were busy working on this stuff, I was cutting up material, and I'll go take a look at that. Okay, for the base frame here, I had a bunch of 2x3-inch lengths of 3/16 tubing laying around, so we pieced that together, and luckily we had barely enough to make the frame and the legs, or the supports for the barrel. And over here, got all the 1.5-inch angle iron cut up and ready to get welded up as soon as the boys get back this morning, and that's going to be the frame for the firebox. Time to plasma cut the base off this bad boy so we can go to the next step. Now that we got her up on her legs, next step is going to be to figure out the door system here. So what I'm thinking is that I'm going to put these heavy gate hinges on there with the little pins, and I'm going to have the two on the end with the pins facing to the right. I'm going to weld that all on. I'm going to take these and I'm going to weld them and bend them down to match the contour of the barrel. And then in the center here, what we're going to do is we're going to just bolt this one in facing the opposite direction. So it'll act as a lock to lock it into place. And if we ever were to have to take the lid off for any reason, we could just unbolt that center one, lift the lid up slightly and slide it to the right and pull it off. So I figured that might be a nifty little feature to have in case. That sure beats having to grind and cut and re-weld stuff. So we'll see how it goes. Alright, I had a perfect little square for here too. Look at that. Fits right in there. That way I could square the hinge to the level behind it. And I'm tacking the hinges here. So you see I got the 2/3 holes tapped into there. Got that bolted down. That one's facing left. The other two will be facing right, and those will be welded into place. Like I said, that way in the unlikely eventuality we may have to take it off for whatever reason, you don't have to cut it. So it also gives me a little bit of adjustment if something's not quite on at the end of the day. The first thing we're going to have to do is we're going to have to cut out the door opening where the hinges are going to get welded to, because we're not going to be able to cut that out after we weld the hinges to the lid. So there's going to be 3 slits cut into the top, then we're going to weld the hinges on, and then we're going to cut the rest of the opening, detach everything, and pull the lid off. probably because I suck at plasma, but after I plasma cut it and blew out a couple of tips, I had to go back around and with a grinding wheel and cut out the dross that was built up behind the plasma cuts. You can see on the left side and the right side there, I had a couple of tips blow out on me and make some nasty cuts, so there's going to be a little bit of touch-up work we're going to have to do, but behold, we have a functioning lid. Alright, well, doesn't look too bad inside. A little bit of rust and gunk built up, but I'm going to send this thing out for sandblasting when we're done with it, so clean right up, but nothing horrible. I call that a successful Friday night. If you can see, I removed that center hinge pin, and now we're going to take this door off so we can do a little touch-up work here and have a little better access to the inside when it comes time to cut in the firebox and the vent collector pipe. Look at that, worked just like I was hoping. Next, I'm going to cut in the opening for the firebox. The bottom of the barrel was about 24¼ inches from the ground. So I cut a piece of wood 30¼ inches, and I set it down and I marked it all the way around on the barrel. And I marked it back to go so that the firebox will be sitting against the cross supports on the smoker support legs there. Instead of trying this with plasma, I'm going to go ahead and try to just do this with the old-fashioned way with the grinding wheel. Well, we got the firebox opening and collector opening cut in. I cut that top of the firebox opening with the grinding wheel, with the cutoff wheel, and that really sucked. So I decided that that was way too difficult and time consuming than how badly I sucked at plasma. So I gave it another shot and it worked out quite a bit better. There we have the parts for the collector. visitor here today. Got the door open, but he won't leave. There we go.
New man welding in our first sandwich wall on the firebox here. What we're doing is we have the inner wall, then sort of a gap, and then an outer wall, and between the two we're sandwiching this fireproof ceramic insulation, which we're cutting to fit exactly the inside of like the sandwich between the two walls. So that should keep some like heat in our firebox better, and hopefully, you know, make the smoker better to use, make the temperatures easier to hold, and we'll see how it works in practice when this thing's done.
Alright, that's the insulation batting. Goes inside that 1.5-inch angle iron. As soon as we cut the cover for it, we'll get that welded on as well.